வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Be blessed by the divine. Thank you so much, all of you, for being there for yet another beautiful show that we're going to start. We have a very special guest from the United States of America. We have our wonderful friend, Professor Veera from Fremont. Welcome to the show, sir.
Be blessed by the divine. Thank you, Senior Professor Chris Morley. This is my privilege to be part of this show. My name is Veera Raghavan Gopalakrishnan, and I'm a Sky professor practicing in Fremont, California. I started practicing Sky in 2013, and the reason I started Sky is because of my back pain. People say no pain, no gain. I gained Sky because of my back problem, and Sky really helped me to overcome my back problems. And I want to spread this Vedatriyam across the people in USA. So I want to take this opportunity to ask few questions to Senior Professor Chris Murali so that this can be used as a tool for spreading Vedatriyam across United States. So based on that, there are a lot of misconception about yoga. People always associate yoga with the asanas. So I want to hear from Senior Professor, what is really these four powerful letters yoga really means?
Okay. By the way, how is your back pain after joining the Sky Yoga system?
It's really helping a lot. It's really amazing. The Makarasanas, there's no word to describe that.
That's true. Even I suffered from back pain at a very young age because I'm a tall fellow and the world is not made for tall people, as I say, But certainly, Magarasana has helped me to improve, and I do not suffer from back pain too much nowadays. So wonderful. So your question is, what is yoga? Is yoga a physical set of exercises? And are they only those set of exercises, or is there anything beyond that? Our Guru Yogiraj Vethathiri Maharishi has given a beautiful explanation or a description or a definition for yoga. Yoga is being one with nature, being one with that almighty force in a self-realized state. Only in that self-realized state we can become one with nature. After all, nature is God. Nature is almighty force. They're called with various names in various parts of the society. But yoga is being one with that almighty force. I would prefer to go with that definition, sir.
Great, sir. Great explanation of this four letters yoga. There are so many types of yoga. People feel like there are a lot of yoga studios coming up nowadays and it's getting popular. That's a good sign. So how is Sky different from other yogas?
Well, most of the so-called yoga studios focus only on the physical form of yoga. Our simplified Kundalini yoga system, the Sky yoga system, has four strong pillars. Number one, simplified physical exercises. Swamiji learned yoga asanas because he was a doctor. He was an Ayurveda, Unani, and homeopathy, and also a Siddha doctor combined together. He had an honorary doctorate from the Johns Hopkins universities, in fact, and many other universities in the United States wanted to give him an honorary doctorate. He refused. He said, what am I going to do with certificates nowadays? That was not his interest. So he simplified these yogasanas so that anyone like you and I who don't have any serious illness, we are normal human beings with no threat of falling ill or falling severely diseased in our life, to practice these yoga asanas and remain healthy all the time. So therefore he created a simple set of these physical exercises that we could follow. This is step number one, or pillar number one. Pillar number two is Kundalini meditation. It is dhyana practice. It is the ability to awaken the Kundalini with a simple touch of the Divine Master, such as yourself. Your good self is also a master in our system, who is doing great service in Fremont area in California. And so you would have initiated hundreds of people in your life. And it is very simple. It is safe, has no dangerous side effects that are normally associated with Kundalini yoga. The third pillar is Kaya Kalpa Yoga. Kaya is body, Kalpa is immortality. So revitalizing or recirculating the vital fluid back into where it came originally from, and thereby improving immunity, health, longevity, and youthfulness is Kaya Kalpa Yoga. Fourth pillar is what I personally really love. I love all the four parts, but the fourth one is something that has really helped me a lot for several years is introspection, the ability to analyze your own thoughts, moralize your desires, neutralize anger, eradicate worries, and realize who am I or who we really are. So, with these five simple set of practices based on autosuggestion and visualization, we are able to overcome our ego, sin imprints, and illusions and become one with that almighty force. And thereby, we achieve a true form of yoga, being one with nature. And I believe our system, the Sky Yoga system, is the most comprehensive and the most simplified form of yoga system that covers all the dimensions of physical body, the mental plane, and also the spiritual dimension. I don't think there is any system that combines all the three together so simply and so effectively, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a beautiful explanation of our like the four pillars of the sky systems. As WHO says, health is like comprises of physical, mental, social, and spiritual health. So our sky system comprises everything, practices for all components of to maintain our health. Thank you very much, sir. Kundalini, that word, it's very difficult for people to understand that word. What does it really mean? Because this is something we cannot physically show to them, or it's very hard to explain to the newcomers coming to this center. How do we easily explain this Kundalini word to newcomers who are coming to our centers?
So very simple, sir. Kunda, Ali, Ini is equal to Kundalini. Kunda, the fire vessel. Ali, that which is common for man and woman. Ini is energy. So there is fire energy burning within us, which is common for both men and women, is Kundalini, which is our life force. Basically, that's all it is. As long as human beings are alive, this life force that is functioning within that human form or human body is called as Kundalini. There is life form in all kinds of different lives. You have plants, you have insects and birds and animals. But the word that we use specifically to refer to human life energy is Kundalini. That's all.
Great, sir. Thank you very much. A beautiful explanation. So now I want to hear from your experiences, like how your life has changed before and after practicing Sky.
Okay. So let me narrate the first few months of me getting initiated into Simplified Kundalini Yoga. It started on the 30th of August, 1984. So that was a good 36 years ago. Till the 29th of August, I was a smoker, not a chain smoker, but I would smoke about 5-6 cigarettes a day. And I would go for a movie practically every week, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a week, sometimes same movie 3 times a day. Okay. Because I was in college, you see. And I was also occasionally drinking. I was not a regular drinker. I come from a middle-class family, so obviously not much money, but was not too addicted to it and things like that. But I was also occasionally going to college and studying, and rarely passing also. So, there were many arrears. Typical college life, that's right. So there were many arrears that I had, and I was failing miserably. And one fine day, my friends got hold of me. That was on the 29th of August, 1984. When they taught me a lesson, said, "Boss, I give you 24 hours to change yourself and concentrate, because your mother is a school teacher, father is a railways clerk, and you can't continue to waste your life like this. You have taken education loan from a bank to come and study in engineering, You can't be wasting your life sitting here like this. And they really, they gave me a threat. Not only they gave me a threat, and they told me that if I don't change within 24 hours, there'll be consequences, which I knew there would certainly be consequences. Very rare to find a set of friends like this in college. So I decided that I had to take my life under control. And I was not very proud of what I was doing. I was searching for a solution. I met a junior of mine called Rajendran, who was sitting and meditating in his hostel room. And I asked him, look, I need to stop all this nonsense and distractions in my mind and concentrate on my studies and succeed in my examinations. So he said, look, this is a meditation that our Guru Yogiraj Vethathiri Maharishi has taught us. He is in Pollachi nearby, so near Coimbatore, not too far away from where my college was. But it would still take a good 4 or 5 hours in those days to go from Coimbatore to Adyar Temple of Consciousness. And those days, the Temple of Consciousness has not come up. They had just put a foundation there and that's it. But I said, no, I need to learn this today. Now you teach me. I said, I can't teach you. If you want to learn today, you have to go to the Ramnagar Center in Coimbatore. I went and knocked at the door of Professor Chinnasamy, and he gave me he first said, no, come on Sunday. I said, no, sir, I have 24 hours. My friends have given me a deadline. I need to learn this. I don't see any other way by which I can get better in life. So I really piled on to him that day, poor man, and he had a not very healthy wife. In fact, he was tending care to her, but I wouldn't budge. College kid, young blood, fixed mind, and I was so resolved in wanting to change myself. I sat down. I said, I'm not going, sir. I will sit here in your veranda outside your house. Initiate me, then I will go. Then he saw my sincerity and my fervor and made me sit down and initiated me into Agna Chakra. So that was the starting point. And then I went to Adyar, of course, met Swamiji, learned Duriya meditation, Duriya Atitam, and all that over a period of time. But just the Agna and the Shanti and the Duriya meditation, special course, those days Swamiji used to conduct. I attended the special course in Thiruvanmiyur in Chennai. I attended along with Swamiji. We were 6 of us when Swamiji conducted the special course. Much later, of course, there were 600 people in front of him. But those days, we had number 5 people, 3 people, 2 people, doesn't matter. Even if one person, Swamiji will conduct with same sincerity. So I remember him sitting and personally initiating all of us for 6 days, or 3 days for all those different types of meditation that he taught us. Then subsequently, another 3 days of special course I attended, introspection course. He will conduct analysis of thought in the morning and give 2 hours break and say, sit down and do analysis of thoughts. No class. Then in the afternoon, moralization of desires. Then 2 hours break. Then group discussion. The next day, new realization of anger. 2 hours gap. You do introspection. Come back, discuss. It used to be very practical. It used to be application and not crowded like what it has become much later, like 10 topics in a day, 5 topics in a day. No, always only just 2 topics in a day. That's how Swamiji used to conduct. But after I learned this, after the few days, within a few weeks, I began to see changes in myself, and I was able to concentrate better, stopped smoking, stopped drinking, stopped going to movies, and started concentrating on the subject. In the next semester, I cleared all the arrears of the previous semesters, and
what a transformation.
And I got distinction in Fortran 4, a programming language. I got 85 marks out of 100, which is like unbelievable. I have never crossed 50 marks for the first 4 semester of my life.
Amazing, sir.
Yeah. So ever since, my life has been on an upward curve. I've only grown in kindness, compassion, success, family success, professional success, personal success. There has been continuous challenges, and I continue to face challenges, but then, I'm not disturbed by them anymore. Okay, I knew that, okay, I'm not born to suffer, I'm born to succeed. So I'm happy. I just, out of a childlike curiosity, I began a YouTube channel. Today, there are 110,000 followers for that YouTube channel, which just turns out to be the world's largest channel today, most popular channel on Kundalini Yoga. I don't think there's anyone who's got better than this. I did not intend it to be like that. I had time. I decided I wanted to tell my story. And that's how it started. So I started telling my story, and today, people like you are joining this journey. and we are traveling together in this beautiful journey of consciousness.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that very inspiring story, sir. That's very motivating for all of us, and also it's going to be very motivating for the young generations who are going to listen to this session. So, yeah, like as youngsters comes to the center and we start explaining to them about our system, they say we don't have time, like every day to do like exercise, meditation, introspection. They're very busy with their school work or college work, and there are a lot of other activities to do. So how do we what do we say to them to like how to manage the time and how can like find a time to do these practices?
Let me narrate the story of this young boy who came to me a few days ago. In fact, about 5 days ago, he called me out of the blue. I don't know how he got my number. He called me and he broke down and he cried. He said, "Uncle, I'm suffering. Please help me." I said, "What do you mean suffering? What is happening?" Then he narrated the list of problems he has. He has problems with respect to his concentration powers, distractions in the mind with girls and movies and games. And he feels low. With this COVID times, he doesn't have many friends. So he's alone in the house. So he's feeling lonely. And that is triggering a whole lot of negative behavior in him. He's oversleeping. He's sleeping very late in the night. And he's basically just become totally indisciplined because no college, no specific working hours, college hours, and therefore he's gotten into all these kind of wrong kind of habits. So he was suffering. And I listened to him and I asked him what makes him feel not so very lonely. And he said music, theater, drama. I like reading books. I like writing notes. I like to like my diary. I like to read something interesting, pick up some challenging task and do. Or I like to do some robotics with my arms and hands. I like to go for jogging. So he gave me a list of some 7 items. So I said, "Are you doing this on a regular basis?" So he said, "No, I'm not doing this on a regular basis. Somehow I feel very, very lonely." And we narrowed it down to just 2 hours in a day when he was feeling lonely. Just that 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the time when he was feeling extremely lonely. So then we decided together, he decided, in fact, I guided him only, that in that 2 hours, he's going to pick up some interesting skills to develop. And then he joined a course on Udemy, and today Udemy courses are like just $10, $5 and things like that. It's just 300 rupees, 500 rupees, 700 rupees. So he picked up one course and there was some software that he downloaded and he started doing it and started enjoying it. Yesterday, he came back to me and said, "Look, I need to also develop some positive habits. What do I do?" So I said, "Look, I also need to get into positive habits on a regular basis. I do certain things. Certainly, I meditate on a fairly regular basis. But sometimes I also excuse myself and I say, okay, I tell myself before this time I should do it, but then I don't do it later on." So we agreed, yesterday we agreed. From this morning today, in fact, we decided that we will track our habit for 49 days. And we will say exercises in the morning, thumbs up. Meditation in the morning, thumbs up. Evening meditation, thumbs up. Evening Kayakalpa Yoga, thumbs up. Morning Kayakalpa Yoga, thumbs up. Only 5 habits. We said we will track on a regular basis. He learned this meditation. He learned the exercises. He learned Kayakalpa Yoga, but stopped practicing. Like what you're talking about, distractions in the mind, various other activities, no time, sir, stress, sir, that, sir, this, sir. Forgotten about all these practices. So now he has a need to practice. So if as parents, if as masters, if as professors and facilitators in the system, we set an example for others. So first thing in the morning after I finished my exercises, meditation, Kayakalpa Yoga, I sent him a message, morning meditation, thumbs up, morning exercise, thumbs up, morning Kayakalpa Yoga, thumbs up. Guess what happened? 10 o'clock, I get a reply from him. Of course, it's a little late in the morning for him, but still I get a message at that time. He said, "Exercises, uncle, done. Morning, thumbs up. Meditation, thumbs up. Wow. Yoga, thumbs up." So I was feeling so nice. I was speaking to their parents. I said, they call me Anna. I said, "This is the first time after so many years I'm seeing this boy actually waking up and doing exercises, meditation. I don't know what magic you said." I said, "I did nothing. All I did was I told this boy, you be my partner, you help me to get into the daily habit of doing these 5 activities, I will help you." So I became his friend. So he is willing
That's
to listen.
nice.
So if I force it down to him and said, I am an elder, I am this, I have this great, crown in my head, I'm a professor, I tell you, you do it. He will say, thank you very much, uncle. See you. I'll see you next birthday. You'll just walk out. So if I become his friend and he genuinely admits that I can be his friend and allows me to his friend, then the equation is that we are equal in this whole part. Okay, yeah, I'm not superior, he is no inferior, or neither. We're just equal. Okay, I have a need, you have a need. We combine together. So friendship has always helped to open the doors of hearts of these young kids. So I have found that to be true. That's the magic tool. If you use that magic tool, your children, your grandchildren, your kids that you're dealing with will be very happy to collaborate with you, sir. That's my little experience.
Wow, it's a very excellent idea, sir. Like, thanks for sharing with us. And that's one unique thing from you that we all have to learn from you, like the friendliness of trying to help each other through different channels, and doesn't matter like how difference in the age or difference in experience. You always smiling and being friend with everyone to spread this Vedatrium and help the people. That's one good quality we all have to learn from you. And as you said, like nowadays the kids are having so much distractions, and they are giving us a beautiful tip how we can help them out. So let's get back into our systems, and we know like physical exercise, like we all have to take care of our physical body. But when it comes to meditation, like how do we explain the meditation to the like a newcomers coming to the center? Like they might have heard about meditation, but they don't know what. People say like you are not doing meditation. Doing nothing is a meditation. So how do you explain meditation?
Whatever we have achieved today, we have achieved with the power of our thoughts, power of our mind. No one can deny this. However, over a period of time, our mind has also acquired certain blemishes, the blemishes in the character flaws in the mind, blemishes in the soul, and therefore certain problems and impediments and struggles and diseases in our life. We, all of us, without an exception, want to get rid of problems and pains and miseries and difficulties and impediments and diseases and all kinds of other struggles in our life. How do we do that? If it is true, it is indeed true, that we have created our life what it is today with our own actions, it is indeed also possible to create our future the way we want to create it with our own mind and get rid of these blemishes in the soul and flaws in the character and pain and miseries in our life. How do we do that? There is a need to allow goodness to develop from within us, which will give us the power to discriminate between wrong and right and choose right over wrong, by which our actions, thoughts, words, and deeds are moralized in such a way that none of our actions would cause pain for self or others now or in the future, physically or mentally. Ahimsa, non-hurting, is a virtue that we can develop within us. In order to achieve that, the mind has to gain psychic power, willpower, to be able to do what it needs to do. We should not end up doing whatever that we want to do, but we must do what we need to do for our body, for our mind, for our soul, and for living harmoniously with the society. So willpower must be increased. How do we increase the willpower? The only way to increase willpower is through meditation. Meditation can be of four types. Not getting distracted through with our sensual perceptions. Supposing there's a sound somewhere, immediately we stop what we are doing and then get distracted and look somewhere else. That's a distraction. We don't want distractions in our life. So practicing withdrawal of our mind from engaging with our sensory organs is the first form of meditation. This is pratyahara. Ability to concentrate and focus on one thing and one thing only and not get distracted is dharana with pratyahara, concentration power. But this is not dhyana. This is not meditation. Focusing on your breathing cycle, just letting go, on allowing your mind to just wander, and chanting of a mantra continuously, or idol worship, or some sort of kriya form. Kriya is action, some sort of action form, repeatedly doing the same action again and again. All these are can be classified coming under the dharana practice and pratyahara practice. It's not dhyana practice. Dhyana is focusing your mind on your own Kundalini Shakti, life force, thereby observing that vibration and going to subtle levels of alpha level of frequency between 8 and 13 cycles per second. And when you reach that subtle frequency in your mind begins to acquire the ability to observe itself and not go to sleep, and discriminate, connecting the past, present, and future, and seeing through, penetratively thinking through what could be the result if a thought is allowed to strengthen or develop within us. This is sagacity, perspicacity, sagacious thinking, sage-like thinking, perspicacious thinking. Okay, Trikala Jnani, they say, past, present, and future. This is Trikala Jnana. The Trikala Jnana is possible only through dhyana. Jnana comes through dhyana. Yeah. And dhyana is Kundalini meditation. Nothing else can be called as dhyana, while the other methods are also called meditation. But this is the purest form of meditation. And the easiest, the safest way of doing this meditation, in my knowledge, which may be limited in this case, is simplified Kundalini Yoga, where a sky master touches the Muladhara chakra and awakens the Kundalini with a simple swish and the touch of the hand. The Kundalini comes up and raises to the Agna chakra. Hundreds of people you have experienced initiating. I have experienced initiating. We have 2,500 centers worldwide. We have over 16,500 professors, such as Professor Veera, who is talking here with me. In United States, we have so many centers. We have over 100 masters and professors there. So we have plenty of people available. We need a lot more people. 15,000, 16,000 is not sufficient. 2,500 centers are not sufficient. We don't have any center in Africa. We don't have any centers in, for instance, in South America. We don't have many centers in Middle East. We have only in some 6-7 countries. We don't have many centers in Europe. We have it in UK. We have it in Netherlands. I believe we have one in France, if I'm not wrong. So available. People can search and find. And once this Kundalini is awakened, then your consciousness gets awakened. And in the process, your talent, your art, your money-making ability, your economic freedom or financial freedom, and thereafter your social freedom, your spiritual freedom, all of them is only a matter of time before you continue to practice and acquire it. When you reach that state of physical freedom from bonds, from attachments to worldly, earthly things, you can then work towards an ultimate spiritual freedom, which is samadhi, which is the 4th level of meditation, where you become one with that origin, samadhi, become equal with the origin, samadhi state of meditation. And that also is possible only when the mind frequency goes to delta frequency, 0.5 to 3 cycles per second. There is no other meditation, in my opinion, other than the sky yoga technique to reach the delta frequency, sir. So that's a simple explanation. To anyone who is willing to come to any of our sky practices, is to tell them that ultimately you can achieve the purpose of your life and cleanse your genetic center of all blemishes in your soul. All your sin imprints, karmic imprints can be cleansed if you only practice these four strong pillars of sky yoga, and particularly the Kundalini meditation, which will help you to reach that goal sooner than later and in this lifetime itself.
Thank you very much. A beautiful explanation of meditation. I think I gained a lot of knowledge in the last few minutes when you explained the meditation. You covered many aspects of our systems, like from different types of the four limbs of yoga, like all the benefits of meditation. So it's a good segue into the next pillar of our sky systems. Sure. So the next segue is to the next important pillar of our sky system, introspection. In the last answer, in the end, you touched upon purifying our genetic center. So now, how this introspection, what is introspection, how it's going to help purify our genetic center?
So the thoughts keep originating in our mind. It is impossible to stop thinking, you see. If you try to stop thinking, more thoughts will come. In fact, the same thought will come again and again also. Such is the power of the mind. It's like a monkey mind we have got, no? Yeah. What we don't want, we will think more often. Very difficult for human beings to focus on what we want. We will always concentrate on what we don't want. The reason is our mind is habitual, our brain is habitual, and therefore the mind also gets into the same routine of thinking negatively. But it is possible to stop negative thinking. While it is not possible to stop thinking, it is possible to stop negative thinking. The way to do that is to cultivate positive thinking in place of negative thinking. Okay, you have a pot, an empty pot with air. You can't remove air. But if you put water into it, the air will automatically get removed. So that's the secret. The same thing applies to the mind. If you keep thinking about what you want, you will forget what you don't want. If you keep listening to music, your mind will develop characteristics associated with that type of music. Mind is like rainwater. It doesn't have any taste, color, shape, or form, but it acquires the taste, color, shape of land that it touches. Likewise, the mind has to be trained to acquire positive characteristics. And the process of achieving that is a two-step process: association and visualization. So the mind has to create a magnetic knot, a K-N-O-T knot. A knot that says, if I wake up in the morning, do my exercises, I will live healthily. So this equation has to be created. This is called the powerful association. Now, association alone is not sufficient for us to wake up in the morning and do our exercises. We have to have the power of visualization when the brain functions at the alpha level of frequency. So meditation at the Sahasrara, crown chakra, allows us to go to the alpha level of frequency. At that alpha level of frequency, we have to superimpose. We have to visualize ourselves the next morning, the next morning, the next morning, the next morning. Every morning of the week, we should visualize ourselves waking up in the morning, and this time not going back to bed or picking up WhatsApp and Facebook and wasting our time and lazing around everywhere else, but actually sit and introspect and wake up in the morning and do our exercises. And that power of visualization creates a new habit, a new neural network in the brain. And that new neural network in the brain will allow us to develop a new imprint in us. And that new imprint will develop a new set of characteristic in us. And the new characteristic will develop a renewed me, a new person. a new human being, a better human being, a happy, prosperous, healthy human being. And this process of introspection is what our Swamiji has given, simplified it and given it to us as 5 simple practices of analysis of thoughts, moralization of desires, neutralization of anger, eradication of worries. Who am I? Of the first 4 practices, what is common is the power of superimposition, the power of replacing negative thinking with positive thinking. You can't stop getting angry, you can't control your angry mind, but you can prevent anger. You cannot really control your worries, but you can avoid worries, you can eradicate worries, you can get rid of worries before it comes. So the trick is to sit and prepare your mind for circumstances and triggers that will build or that will motivate new behaviors in you, which will give you new rewards. The brain works with that. The brain works with triggers, behaviors, rewards. So this is TBR. The TBR is an infinite loop. So supposing someone is feeling lonely, you play games, you get some rewards in the video games, you feel good about yourself. The loneliness forgets. So the brain associates this reward. Now this reward is dangerous. You have to replace this circuit with a new circuit of meditating, feeling one with the Almighty Force, and feeling rewarded that your Almighty Force is always there enveloping us. We don't need to feel worried. We don't need to feel lonely at all. So this is the highest form of reward, but this is a great reward. This is a positive reward. To do that, our Swamiji's introspection methods are highly useful, sir.
Very good explanation of our introspection topics and the benefit of introspection. Let's move on to the last pillar of our sky system, but last but not the least, it's a Kaya Kalpa Yoga. It's like a very unique technique, and the Swamiji says, take this Kaya Kalpa to every individual in this planet. So what is Kaya Kalpa Yoga, and why Swamiji put a lot of emphasis on Kaya Kalpa Yoga?
Kaya is body, Kalpa is immortality. The food that we eat becomes juice, a portion of it. A portion of the juice becomes blood, blood becomes tissues, tissues become fat, fat becomes bone, bone becomes marrow, marrow, it is believed, becomes vital fluid in the marrow. That means the body, wherever bone is there, there is marrow. Wherever marrow is there, it will produce this vital fluid. The brain is full of marrow. Therefore, this vital fluid is in highest quantity in the brain. Up to the age of 14, this fluid is necessary and only sufficiently available for our life force to allow the body to grow. It is not available for it to be indiscriminately thrown out of the body. But after the age of 14, the physical puberty or maturity is achieved. This fluid in excess actually starts to descend, I believe, from the brain down to the sexual gland, giving us a sexual urge to evacuate or release this fluid from our sexual gland. And when that happens, and when the enormous amount of this fluid goes out of the body, it gives us that state of euphoria, because the magnetic intensity in terms of fluid is also thrown out of the body. The expenditure, I believe, is perceived by the body as pleasure. But if it happens in excess beyond what is available with us, then the same pleasure can lead to various nervous complications and various other psychosomatic illnesses or physical ailments. So to avoid this, one needs to recirculate the descended fluid back into the cerebrospinal area, and thereby improve our immunity, live youthfully, and live long. Only when the last quantum of this vital fluid releases from the body, there is death that occurs for us, is what our Swamiji has told us. So in order to prevent death, we must be able to maintain this fluid in good quality and good intensity. the process of recirculating the sexual vital fluid and increasing the intensity of this fluid in the cerebrospinal area is Kaya Kalpa Yoga. There are two practices in that. One is Ashwini Mudra, other one is Ojo's breathing. Both are taught in our Sky Yoga centers. And I'm sure you are an expert in Kaya Kalpa Yoga yourself.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I ask one last question? So a lot of youngsters and the young adults, when we talk about meditation, yoga, they think yoga is only for old people. Like they can practice later in their life. So what do you say to them? How we can convince them it's very important to start these practices at a young age?
Solutions. Look, problems exist even for young people because their problems are very unique and their problems are sometimes very intense. Okay, 2 to 3 out of 10 people who commit suicide in India are below the age of 15, I believe. Okay, I just read this. About 100,000 people commit suicide every year in a country like India, which is not one of the top suicide committing countries in the world. Japan is. But even then, 100,000 people is a very long number. And if you look at, say, the 20 to 30% of them, you're talking about 20 to 30,000 young adults and children committing suicide. Why would somebody want to come? And that's the age where you don't think of suicide, you see. And that's the age where you think of conquering the world. You think you are the king of the world, you're the queen of the world. You want to go out and succeed in everything that you pick up. Because their feelings are quite intense. Their pressures are real and their problems are immense. So if we offer solutions for them in a manner which is packaged and given to them like a friend, in a friendly manner, without threatening them, without pontificating, without lecturing, without pressurizing, controlling, regimenting, we just tell them that, okay, look, boss, I too was in a similar situation like you. I have tried this, it has worked for me. I will help you. You help me. I also want to do this regularly. So you also do this regularly. Let's do it together. Try it for a few days, see how it works for you. Then if it helps you, great, yeah, let's learn this more. So if you introduce it like that, then it will work. Number one. Number two, look, nobody, especially children, will follow you if you don't practice this yourself. Preaching is always a failure. You can only preach through your actions. The rose does not say, come and smell me. Okay, you have to be a rose for the children to smell and follow you. They will emulate the parents, they will emulate the teacher, they will emulate the adults who inspire them. So you have to be an inspiration for them. I truly believe that I have to be an inspiration for others. That means I have to follow what I say. Otherwise, there will be no conviction in my words. There will be, if I don't have conviction, then the words will just become a lecture. It is useless. What will be useful for people is they see me exercise in the house. The speech should be heard by my children and they should say, my father exercised. I've seen him never misses exercise, meditation, Kaya Kalpa Yoga every day. And therefore, they will tell their friends and they will follow. So if my children follow, which is the greatest testimony in my life, I don't need to change anybody else in the world. I'm happy if my 3 children and my grandchildren follow this practice. If I have inspired them, great. Okay. And the only way to inspire them is not by lecturing them, but by setting an example in their life. And I believe that's the only way. There's no other way.
Exactly. Very well said, sir. The action speaks. It's more powerful than our words. But I think we are coming to an end. I don't know how we spent the last 45 minutes. I just want to keep continuing discussing with you, but because of the time for a limitation. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I bless in the name of our Guru, your noble service to Vedatrium. like spread each and every moment. And we are all very blessed to have you as a senior professor. And thank you very much for guiding us in this in our spiritual development. Be blessed by the divine. Walk our walk our walk our
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I am no senior professor. I'm probably the junior most professor with respect to you. So don't call me senior professor. I'm no senior professor. My name is Krish Murli Ishwar. Just call me Krish or call me Murli. I'm happy to be called like that. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for inspiring me to do this particular show with you today. Thank you for your perceptible questions, imperceptible questions, questions that penetrated through many layers of ignorance and open the screen to a hidden knowledge of lovely things that exist for people to hold on to and climb this ladder of knowledge and practice and reach wisdom in their own life and achieve good health, long life, enough wealth, peace, prosperity, fame, and wisdom. Thank you all for being on my show. Thank you for being a great source of inspiration. If you would like to come on my show, just to comment on this particular video in my YouTube channel, I'll be happy to invite you to come on my show at any point of time whenever we open it out for general public. But thank you very much for being there. Thank you for a great inspiration for us. Thank you for continuing to support us. And thank you for going to the Sky Yoga Center and practicing this and let the world become a peaceful world. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Be blessed by the divine.